Now, if you want to understand why some people struggle financially while others build wealth, create freedom, and live at a higher level financially, you need to understand one concept, and that's the cash flow quadrant. This idea was made famous by Robert Kiyosaki, the author of the popular book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it explains the four different ways people make money. Now, here's a depiction of the four cash flow quadrants, and most people spend their entire lives in the wrong quadrant without even realizing it. And here's the important part. The quadrant you earn money from determines your lifestyle, your stress levels, your level of freedom, the taxes you pay, where your time is spent, and ultimately your wealth potential. Today, we're going to break down the four quadrants, the mindset of each quadrant, some statistics about who lives there, and why the wealthy focus on cash flow and how the average person can start transitioning toward financial freedom. Now, the quadrants are divided into two sides. On the left side, you have employees and self-employed. Now, these people primarily trade time for money. On the right side, you have your business owners and investors, and these people create leverage and assets that generate income. The wealthy overwhelmingly live on the right side of this diagram. So let's go through quadrants one by one. First, we've got the employee. This is where most people start. Employees trade time for money. You work a job. You get paid a salary or an hourly wage. Your income stops if you stop working. Some examples of this are teachers, nurses, office workers, mechanics, managers, and corporate professionals. Now, there's nothing wrong with being an employee. In fact, many employees make excellent incomes. The problem is income is usually capped by time because there are so many hours in a day. If you want to make more money, you have to work more hours, giving up more of your time. Now, employees have a mindset where they value security, benefits, predictability, and stability. They often think, I need a good job. I need retirement benefits. I need someone to give me health insurance. And I need job security. But in today's economy, job security is often an illusion. Layoffs happen, industries change, and AI is replacing jobs very rapidly. Some interesting statistics about employees. 70% of Americans primarily earn income as employees. Many Americans live paycheck to paycheck despite working full time. Now, multiple surveys have shown this number is over 60% of Americans. Now, the average millionaire typically has multiple streams of income, not just a single paycheck. That means that most people are relying on just one income source in an increasingly unstable economy. Even though employees feel safe and secure, having only one income source is very risky. Let's talk about quadrant two, the self-employed. This quadrant includes people like doctors, realtors, consultants, attorneys, freelancers, small business operators, and independent contractors. Now, these people often make more money than employees, but instead of having a job like an employee, the self-employed own a job. If they stop working, the income stops, just like an employee. A self-employed person may own a business, but the business still depends heavily on them. Some would even tell you that they don't truly own their business, the business owns them. Now, there's a trap for the self-employed because they think, I escaped the rat race. But often they just created a higher paying treadmill. Now, they make good money. They can make six figures, 150,000, 300, some even 500,000 a year, but they're exhausted because they have employees to manage. They have clients to satisfy. There's constant stress. They work long hours, and often they can't step away without their income collapsing. Now, roughly 10 to 20% of workers are self-employed. Also, many small and businesses, they fail within the first 5 years. And small business owners often work more hours than employees do. Now, this quadrant can create higher income, but it doesn't create freedom. Now, I've been both an employee and self-employed, so I know firsthand the challenges and limitations that living in these quadrants can bring. Now, let's talk about the right side of this diagram. Quadrant three, this is where business owners live. This is where things start changing financially. A true business owner builds systems. The business works even when they're not there. They create leverage through employees, automation, technology, systems, marketing, and capital. Some examples of business owners are franchise owners, large company founders, scalable online businesses, platform businesses, network marketing organizations, and e-commerce brands. But the key difference here is a business owner owns a system and they have a different mindset. Business owners think, how do I scale? How do I remove myself from the operations? How do I create recurring income? How do I build assets? And they focus on four things: leverage, systems, delegation, and cash flow. Now, why can business owners build wealth faster? Because business owners can disconnect income from time. And that's really powerful. Imagine you go to sleep, but sales still happen while you're sleeping. You travel, but the business still operates without you. You take a week off and revenue still comes in. That's leverage. An example of this is when my son was born. He was premature. He came several weeks early, and we happened to be 2,300 miles away from home. And so we had to spend the next 5 weeks with him in the NICU while our businesses ran without us. Now, we had built a system. So even though we were completely disconnected from our business for 5 weeks, the income still came in. That is a great example of leverage. Now, some statistics about business ownership. Small business owners represent a minority of the population, but they own a disproportionately large percentage of wealth. Many millionaires are business owners or former business owners, and the reason is the businesses create scalable cash flow. Let's talk about quadrant four, the investor. This is where the wealthy ultimately want to spend most of their time. Investors make money from money. Their capital works for them. Examples of investors may be real estate investors, stock investors, crypto investors, dividend investors, private equity, gold investors, and venture capitalists. So investors focus on cash flow, appreciation, compound growth, and owning assets. Now, the power of compounding, this is one of the greatest financial forces on earth. For example, if you invest consistently in appreciating assets like stocks, real estate, maybe Bitcoin or other businesses, over long periods of time, wealth can snowball. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Now, investors have a different mindset. Investors ask, where should capital flow? What assets generate cash flow? How do I preserve purchasing power? How do I make my money work harder? Because they understand inflation destroys idle cash. That's why wealthy people often own businesses, real estate, stocks, gold, crypto, IP, and their assets tend to rise over time while paper currency loses its purchasing power. Now, the wealthy love cash flow and they just don't chase income. They chase cash flow because cash flow buys freedom. Now, example of cash flow assets may be rental properties, dividend stocks, businesses, royalties, having a YouTube channel, network marketing, selling digital products, automated online businesses. But the goal is create an asset that continues paying you long after the work is done. Now, there's a reality with modern wealth because the old model was go to school, get a job, work 40 to 50 years, retire in your late 60s, but that world has changed. Today, inflation is high, traditional pensions are gone, AI is disrupting industries, and the cost of living keeps rising. So many people realize one income stream is no longer enough. That's why modern wealth builders focus on multiple streams of income, side businesses, investing, and having things like digital assets. So the important lesson here, don't quit your job too early. One mistake a lot of people make is trying to jump from one quadrant to the other too fast. The smartest strategy for most people is keep your primary income, reduce your debt, build skills, and start investing. And you want to build that cash flow gradually over time so your assets can begin replacing your paycheck. That's when real freedom starts to happen. Now, a simple wealth formula here. Let's talk about a practical path. Step one, keep earning your income from your job. Step two, start spending less than what you're bringing in. Step three, invest that difference into cash flowing assets. And then step four, repeat. Repeat consistently for years. Now, this sounds simple, but it's so powerful. Now, some final thoughts. The cash flow quadrant is not just about money, it's about freedom. Freedom of time, choices, lifestyle, and opportunities. Now, most people stay stuck because they only focus on earning money. The wealthy focus on building assets. And the more assets you own, the less dependent you become on trading your time for money. You do not have to become a billionaire, but everyone should strive to move at least partially toward the business owner and investor side of these quadrants because that's where leverage exists, cash flow can grow, and financial freedom becomes possible. The goal is not just to make more money. The goal is to build a life where your money works harder than you do. If you don't build assets, you'll spend your life building someone else's. If you don't have capital to invest, but you would like to build an income producing asset from scratch without spending a lot of your time, be sure to check out our partner program on www.income-automation.com. Now, this program, I've used it and it can work for anyone who follows the same steps I did. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more wealth building content.